Well, this week I've got a neat little mess of packages. There's 4 of them in here. I know it's kind of hard to count with them all. Well, mostly with this big one on the bottom. Let's see, we got these 2 things. There it is. This thing. Okay, this is obviously not anime. I do wonder if this is the one I ordered. I already have this full screen. I needed to get widescreen version. Well, I'll investigate that later. Let's see. I feel the opening over here. This one's a little more floppy, and I think I know why. Not because of that, but because Suspenders. You know, those things that are less exciting than all this other stuff. And then today's actual releases. Alright. Well, let's order these, and we'll begin with One Take Man, the One Punch Man soundtrack, which, I don't know, it's got the songs I like and other ones which I can listen to in a little more detail, so that's valuable. We got the Switch game, South Park The Fractured But Whole, which I'm pretty sure it's intended to be said that way. We've got a Hentai DVD, Hentai Heaven Volume 2.5. And let me see, taking a look at the back. Yeah, whatever. It looks not as bad as some of the other non-hentai stuff. I don't remember. I usually don't show the inside of this, do I? Well, let's open it anyways. This is a kitty media, which means this will be a burn on demand. And okay, yeah, she you can see the girl's boobies, so we'll put that aside. Go through these. Let's begin with Digimon Adventure Try Loss. I forget which movie number this is. We got, oh, okay. I couldn't remember if I was getting both, because this is obviously Blu-ray plus DVD, so we got an extra DVD version here. I guess I'm going to put that aside. We're just going to dig into this. I see Region A. And very Digimon-y stuff there. I really wish I could be watching these, just because I feel, well, I mean, I could be, but I mean, like, I really wish I felt like I could be watching it, because I've not watched a whole lot of Digimon. I started watching that one. Come on. We've got Blu-ray, DVD discs, pretty much the same. Looks like there's not a whole lot of notableness to the inside. So I take it this is part of it. I think, are there 6 of these movies maybe? Next up we have Koro Sensei Quest, which, as you can see, is not exactly an assassination classroom thing, but it's assassination class. I cannot pronounce that. Assassination classroom inspired. I see Region A. I see an English dub. Final exam to final boss. Guess that says right there. It's 12 episodes on 2 Blu-ray discs. It feels like. It only has 4 discs in it. I guess we're about to find out, because it kind of doesn't feel like it. See, this is Blu-ray. This is Quest 1 and 2, and this is DVD. This is Quest 1 and 2. I mean, I would almost wonder if it's a bunch of short episodes. I just It's kind of hard to tell. Does it say somewhere? Runtime. 120 minutes. That's 2 hours. So yeah, that could fit on one disc each. So we've got some potential packaging errors, not like what's inside it, but what's on it. Should probably check that out. Let's actually save that one for last. Next up we have Classicaloid. I do not know what to make of this. I do know to eventually rip it and put it on my servers, and I don't know if this is the priority watch or not. Let's see. I know, I see here at Region A, and I see Japanese with English subtitles. Great geniuses, lousy guests. Out with the mundane, in with the music. 25 episodes on 3 discs. It's a 1, 2, 3. So I don't know what to make of it. I'm trying to see that in a little more depth. Okay. I wasn't quite sure what I was looking at. Very strange stuff. None of this looks familiar. And I can't help but think that Classicaloid sounds familiar, but I think I'm thinking of Vocaloid. Oh well. Next up we have Kado, the right answer. I don't know what to make of this. Ooh, regions A and B with an English dub. How much are humans meant to know? Don't know what to think of this. And the discs themselves are sometimes falling out. This is DVD 1 here. And then DVD 2. So these should probably just say Blu-ray 2 and Blu-ray 1. Okay. It's weird cubes. That could maybe look a little snowflakey, I don't know. This one doesn't. That looks very cube-like. Oh well, but this is, I think, the more important release this week. Mr. Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. And I've maybe got some impressions. Ooh, regions A and B. In English dub. Dragons at your service. So, I've got general impressions about the series, but I don't want to speculate too much. All I know is she was the most noted character when it was airing. Like, everybody seemed to be talking or posting this or that of her. And to be honest, from the other characters, they've looked amusing, so I'm interested to see what this is like. I've heard a little bit of the dub, and I've seen a couple of scenes on YouTube. So this is DVD 1, this is DVD 2, and this is Blu-ray 1 and 2. We have characters. But yeah, this is probably my high priority watch, and I couldn't really tell if the dub was on point or not, because their handling of her seems like it's very important. I don't know if they did well or not. I'm going to watch Japanese with English subtitles for this one, which is a little outside my norm, but anyway, here's this week's anime DVD collection update. So, for stuff I watched, I mentioned interviews with Monster Girls was my high priority. And it wasn't exactly what I thought it would be, but it was close enough that it was a very satisfying watch. One of the things that really caught me by surprise is, well, one of the reasons I was interested in this is it seemed like a demi-human, not necessarily harem, but, oh yes, we're coming up with cute demi-harem girls, and instead of creating a harem, it seemed like a little more slice of life-ish, and this one was definitely that, even though there's this kind of harem undercurrent sort of flowing through it. And I'll comment a little bit about that more later, but ultimately I really enjoyed it because it kind of treated the demi-humanness less as a way to create an exotic girl like Monster Musume, which, you know, is great in that regard, but instead another interesting way where it kind of treats them sort of more like people with disabilities, which is a very interesting approach to it, especially since some of them really fit into that role well. The Dullahan is probably the best example because she has to actually physically carry her head around, and the series explores some of the stuff related to what that meant about how she does normal human things, how she interacts in normal day-to-day life, incidents, things like that. And I think the Succubus was a close second in that regard. The other two, I mean, the Snow Woman thing, it felt like there was maybe just not enough material to work with, and the Vampire kind of felt like there was maybe too much material, and it's kind of hard to balance all that stuff out. So that's why I think, you know, there is a sweet spot there. But yeah, I was saying it's interesting because it wasn't quite what I thought it would be. He's definitely the main character. It's not them, which is kind of why it's not 100% slice of life, but it's kind of about him wanting their lives to be better, and so it's kind of weird. It's probably ever so slightly outside of the cute girls doing cute things, but it's centered around a very non-interruptive or invasive male figure, where he's a very down-to-earth, sure of himself, and, you know, just kind of neat to see. It's one of those things where I'm reminded that when a lot of anime try to have main characters that are older guys, they kind of have to do things like that because going the other way, going other routes, the normal unsure high school boy kind of routes, first of all, that as a genre is oversaturated, of course. The, oh, I'm not so sure about girls thing, and they even have high school guys that are perfectly content, but they don't quite have that they have life figured out content vibe, which is what they were kind of going for here, because even if everything in his life wasn't perfect, they actually want to play off that because it plays well with the dynamics. Now, some of the trickiness is there is a slight harem-y element to this, in that you know, there's various crushes. You know, he's a kind of ideal stoic male figure, so it makes sense. But it's also this thing where most of them are kids, high school kids. Yes, I think they said they were high school kids. Unless it was something else. Yeah, it was high school kids. And there's a fine line there, and I think while it's sometimes teetered on the edge of that line of just being creepy, sometimes it was nodding its head saying, we're intentionally doing this to you because the entire point is to set those situations up, and then to kind of show that he gets lost in his own thoughts and in his own world, and so all this stuff is really kind of meaningless. It's weird, but overall, I was very satisfied with all of it. If I were to guess as to why it doesn't rate higher, it'd probably be because there's no real specific focus point for the series. There's something that comes up at the end, which is a very good example of the series kind of nodding to, this is what we set it up, and this is why you're maybe not entirely wrong thinking some of the, well, that's odd sorts of things about it. And I don't want to go into too much details, and maybe I've already gone into more details than I should, but overall I thought it was very enjoyable. And after that I decided to continue on with cute girls doing cute things, slice of life stuff, so I went on with Non Non Biori Repeat. Non Non Biori, yeah. Because they always have the symbols assembling in the middle break thing. Anyways, I'm 8 episodes in, and it's okay, entertaining. It's just hard to tell what the watching of it means in relation to the first season. There's some things that feel kind of familiar, which makes me wonder if this series is approaching some topics from slightly different angles, or if more likely I've also seen random clips and YouTube videos of one scene here or there, because most of it is definitely not the first season. Like, I remember the first season begins with Renjay, purple-haired girl, kind of realizing, I'm a country bumpkin, or something funny like that. And this one didn't begin with that, so I know at a minimum I did watch the first season and not this one, but I don't know content-wise how they relate to each other. I vaguely remember a few little things from the first season. But for this one, it's okay, it's entertaining. It's obviously I enjoyed interviews with Monster Girls because it kind of explored more dynamic and interesting ideas. But for slice of life stuff, this is actually not bad, and I'm going to resume it after I watch Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, because that one's a very high priority. Outside of that, I don't know if I mentioned I was re-watching the Rail Deck stuff with my brother. I probably usually don't mention who I'm re-watching this stuff with, but we're getting pretty close to the end of a certain magical index, and it's actually interesting re-watching it. I do believe this is my third time watching it, because I did re-watch it at some point, but there's all these little details I keep forgetting, and I keep forgetting what order of things there are, so I'm sticking with broadcast order. And I know some people don't prefer that, but I think it's perfectly fine for building up the series for him as it was built up for everybody else, if that makes sense. So, I don't know. It's been enjoyable stuff. I don't know. I can't help but think that maybe there's other things to talk about, but nothing comes to mind, because I don't think I even made any progress adding anything to RPG Maker Fez thing, and I haven't had a chance to get back to the thing, and so I'm wondering what other things I've been doing that makes me stop doing the things. And I don't know. I know tonight it's going to be focusing on Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. For the streaming server, I actually really need to, one of the things I want to do is, I think I've got the handbrake scanning stuff set up, but now I need to take that and add some of the other weird edge cases, angles, and see if I can get information on forced subtitles and stuff. But I really need to focus on identifying VOB files that aren't included in Handbrake's scan, because that's where DVD menu data tends to be hidden, and maybe there's other opening, Blu-ray DVD opening things that I might want. I say Blu-ray, but technically the Blu-ray stuff is its own thing, and I'm focusing on DVD right now, and I really should switch over to Blu-ray and make sure I can handle that as well. But yeah, I need to identify those VOB files, and I know generally how to do it. I just need to do it and then do FFprobe, and then ignore the things that FFprobe can't read, and then for everything else remember that information, and yeah. I guess that's about it then. I'll end my update here. Y'all have a nice week.